Hey everyone, my name is Alexandra and I am a watercolor artist. Welcome to part 9 of my series, How to Paint Watercolor Wildflowers for Beginners. Today I am going to be teaching you guys how to paint watercolor bluebells. These flowers are honestly so cute, so delicate. I am very excited to teach you guys how to paint them. Let's get started. For supplies today, I have 2 cups of water, one for clean, one for dirty water, a napkin for drying my paintbrushes. For paints, I'm using Art Philosophy and Co.'s Terrain palette, but I've also just added sort of a light blue paint in there as well. Paper, I have Arch's 140-pound cold press watercolor paper. And lastly, for brushes, I'm using Princeton rounds numbers 2 and 6, and I have a pencil just to give us some guidelines for our flower. So the first thing that we're going to do is take our pencil and we're going to draw our guideline for our flower. One of the things I love about these flowers is the way that they droop down, which is where they get their name, why they look like bells. So we're going to start with our line slightly to the left of the center of our page, and I'm starting about an inch up, and I'm going to draw my line coming straight up and then give it a nice curve over, and we will attach multiple different flowers to it, but this is just going to give us a nice guide for where to start. With these flowers specifically, I like to actually start by painting the stem of my flower, which I don't always do, but we're going to start with our number 2 round brush and go into our green. I'm going to use a mixture of my balsam and my vine leaf green. And I'm going to start with it not too dark because I can add that in as I go. I just want to have a starting point. So following this pencil line that I did, I'm going to bring a nice skinny line all the way up and have it curving over. And then I'm going to do that a few more times because we're going to attach multiple flowers to this stem. All right, now that I have that, we can jump right into painting our flowers. So switching to our number 6 brush, we're gonna go into a nice watery blue color. And I'm going with my lighter blue for this one. Now the idea for these flowers is that each petal is going to sort of work itself into kind of a teardrop shape. So I'll start by painting 3 to 4 petals coming out, and we'll add some detail and give definition between each one once our first layer dries. But while our first layer is wet, now is the time that I would go in with some other colors and just add some shading. So I'm going to add a touch of purple in there and then make sure that I'm still letting my blue color show through. Now down below I added some small stems here. So I'm actually going to do a couple of my flowers facing up, sort of at the point before they'll actually start drooping down. So those ones, I'll make them slightly smaller. And just like the name, you're focusing on that nice bell shape. So this one I might just do 3 petals, and then we'll do 1 more at the end here. And then I'm gonna mix in some purple. Now while that dries, I'm gonna switch to my smaller brush, and going back into my green, I'm gonna add just some little extra branches and leaves coming up from my stem. Not too many. These flowers are pretty simple. All right, so now that I've done that with my green, I'm going to continue and add the base of my flowers. So where each stem reaches the flower, and I smudged this one a bit, but that's okay, we'll add some details after. So where it reaches the flower, I'm going to widen it, just to add a little bulb, and then I'm gonna do some really thin leaves extending out from it. And now that I used a darker green for that, I need to carry it out through my stem. So I'll give you guys a better idea down here with some of these that are facing up. So I'm gonna widen where the green is right at the base of the flower. And then we're gonna do a couple really thin little leaves coming out from that. This one was a bit damp, so it kind of bled into it, but I actually don't mind that. So now I'm gonna add my leaves. And it gives it a really cool effect with how it bleeds in. So we'll make our stems a bit darker just to tie it all in. And then same thing for this last one. So now that we've done that, the green of our flowers are actually all finished. So we're just gonna go in and add the details to our petals, and then we will be all done. This is such a nice, simple flower to paint, especially for beginners. It's a really fun and easy one that I find always looks good. So we'll just start from the left-hand side here and work our way around. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pick one of my petals and I'm going to give it sort of a tone-on-tone outline. So what I did is I just exaggerated the shape of that petal by using the same color I painted the base with, but slightly darker. And then we'll add our center one there. So now same thing on this side, and this is the point where I can add more of a curve to my petals if I'd like. So focusing on those two outside ones, and then the center one, I can just add definition. So now we'll continue focusing on those outside petals, getting that nice curved shape. And then for these ones with 4, I'm gonna give it a minute to dry before I go in to my center petals. All right, now that this one has had some time to dry, I'll go back in with my watery paint and we'll just add a little bit of definition to those. I don't mind if they're slightly messy looking. We're going for a loose flower look. So now that I've done that, the last thing that we're gonna do, just to add a little bit more, is with kind of my purple blue mixture here, I'll water it down just slightly so it's not too dark, and I'm actually just gonna paint some patches of it in. These flowers are often a really cool mix of colors, so it's nice to add it into our watercolor. And I'm focusing more on my outside petals just to give some nice separation between them all. And that is the last detail that we're going to add to our watercolor bluebell. And now we are all done with our watercolor bluebells. These flowers are so fun to paint. They're really simple, easy, and quick, so it's an awesome one for beginners as a flower to practice a few different techniques. We use some wet on wet watercolor technique as well as some wet on dry. If you guys enjoyed this tutorial, make sure to like this video and comment below what you'd like to learn next. We'll see you next time.